Welcome to the 5th update video. Oh god, it's too fucking hot. Okay. Welcome to the 5th update video for my project Kyzt. In this update video, I promised a graphics update, and I have delivered. First of all, I've added real sprites for the default Kyzt enemies. In particular, I've added a spawn animation, a walking animation, jumping animation, an attacking animation, and a dying animation. The dying animation you should be seeing on screen right now is a little bit different to the one that you might have seen in the lore overview. It's mostly the same, just a color swap, but this was in particular to draw attention to the fact that they're, well, one, that they're being teleported and they're not dying, and second of all, since the colors of the bullet explosion is sort of light blue, it didn't look that great to have a light blue explosion cause a dark red sort of fading effect. So yeah, that's that. The spawn-in effect, they do halt their movement until that whole animation is done. They spawn randomly on the map, but they only process physics or any sort of forces on them if they are done with that animation. So that's pretty good. In other news, I've got a player sprite. I don't think this is finished. I'm not confident in saying that I'm not going to touch him again, because there's a very high likelihood that I will go back and modify it. He doesn't have any animations yet. I am planning on adding a animation for him taking damage, but I don't really know how I'm going to do that. I don't know what he does when he takes damage. Only time will tell really what happens when that happens. I also have to add some kind of animation for shooting, but I don't know if I should have him give any animation for shooting, or if I should just leave it all on the side of the gun. I've also got a very likely unfinished gun, which is attached to the layer behind the player sprite at all times. Don't worry about the fact he's very fast at switching which hand is holding his weapon in a fraction of a second. In fact, in the same time it takes him to turn around. He's a very, very skilled spaceman. But yeah, it's okay. I gotta actually make a gun sprite. I very likely won't be leaving it with just like the grey blob with the black outline. It does rotate properly. I know that in my last video, somebody recommended that I make it so that the player rotates or turns to the direction in which he's shooting, which I did do. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Also, yeah, the gun does rotate between. Well, it rotates to face the cursor when it clicks, so basically that means that he's actually turning his gun to shoot the bullet in the correct direction, which is usually quite helpful. Not many people shoot a bullet from like the side or the back of their gun. It's a forgotten art. I have bullet sprites now. They explode properly. I did have an intermediary fizzle animation, which I don't think anybody on YouTube saw. I showed a few close friends of mine, but apart from that, no, that animation is gone. So now we have a little explosion, so light blue sort of flash. You've probably seen it in the footage on screen. So I'm quite happy with that. I do have you might notice I have a black circle at the beginning of the animation, and followed by a white one. And for those of you who don't know, that's effectively a contrast frame. I did steal this technique from somebody whose Patreon page is going to be up on the screen now, if I remember to do that, because I don't know where else to find his tutorials, but he does very nice pixel art tutorials on an animated GIF form. They're very, very helpful. Would definitely recommend checking them out if you're curious about certain techniques or anything like that. In addition, I've also got some lighting effects on the Kyzt attacks as well as the player attacks, and this is pretty simple. I just did the light 2D node, attached a smooth circle gradient that I made in GIMP, and then I just set the color property on the light 2D node to just change what that is. Currently on the bullets, I do have an animation player just to change the color of the light from red to blue in a bit more smoothly than it would be if I just set it. It's using cubic interpolation, which I think is pretty good for that. I don't know, I just like cubic interpolation. And that's about it for this update video. It's way too fucking hot. I don't like it. It's too hot. It's like mid 80 degrees in Fahrenheit. It's too hot. Also, subscribe.